Hi, I'm ddrum artist Scotty Kormos, and in this video, we're going to go into detail on all the connectivity options for the ddrum NIO Percussion Pad. Let's get into it. First up, on the right-hand side of the back is the Headphone Jack. You can see the little universal icon for headphones. You'll also notice that it is a standard 1/4-inch stereo connector. And you may be thinking, well, actually, my headphones have the smaller 1/8-inch connector. No problem, because ddrum, in their infinite wisdom, actually included this adapter for free with the unit so that you can use either or. So if you've got the standard 1/4-inch headphone jack, just go ahead and plug it in. If not, use this guy here, pop that in, make sure it's in all the way, and then just simply plug in that 1/8-inch mini to that, and now you're good to go with the stereo headphones. By the way, folks, the volume control for this is on the front of the unit. It's not back here, which totally makes sense. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the next two jacks, which are the main outs. We've got stereo left and right. We got left mono and we've got the right. These are the main outs. What that means is you will run cabling from here either to an external speaker for stage use or to your sound man or your front of house guy, PA system, to come through the monitor system. And of course, if you're recording with it at home, you would take the audio out of this and run it into your interface. So these are really important. And these jacks are controlled with this master volume. I would highly suggest keeping the master volume down all the way as it is now when making your connections, and then slowly ease it up as you strike the pad to find the desired volume. So let's go ahead and make those connections. Okay, now I can run the other side of this into my speaker, the PA system, my audio interface in my home studio, whatever it is that you want that audio to go. These are the main outs. Okay, up next is the auxiliary audio input. What you're going to use this for is to get audio into the unit so you can hear it through the headphone jack. For example, you plug in your phone, your pad, or even a laptop with the 1/8-inch connector, and you can play along to, all your favorite tunes. So I've got this coming out of my laptop here, which is the same 1/8-inch connector. I'm just going to plug that in there, and now I have the ability to import audio and play along to my phone, my tablet, my iPad, and have tons of fun. Okay, moving on next to it, we've got MIDI out and MIDI in. This would be for sending MIDI notes to your computer or to another MIDI device, maybe another drum module, could be even another NIO. And think of this as a connection line of communication to external devices. And it's a universal language. MIDI stands for Musical Instruments Digitally Interfaced. Musical Instruments Digitally Interfaced. So if you want to send the MIDI notes out that you're creating by striking the pads, you would plug in that standard MIDI cable here. And if you wanted MIDI to play the sounds inside the computer, you would just switch the cables over to this. So the MIDI in and out is going to be important if you're interested in maybe triggering, Stephen Slate samples inside your computer or tune track samples, etc. Okay, next up is the USB-A port. And what we use this for is to import sounds that may be your own or third-party samples into the unit via USB stick. And we simply plug this guy in like any other USB device. I'm sure you've done it 100 times on your computer. And now that we have that in there, we can import sounds from this, but we can also export any user kits and settings that we've created for backup purposes. So you want to make sure you do that. Next to that is the USB-B port. Now, what you'd want to use this for is connecting to your computer, whether it's laptop or desktop. And you can also do MIDI over USB. So you could drive Stephen Slate samples or Tune Track, Easy Drummer, any VSTs inside your computer. And also coming down the line will be some software that will let you import and export samples with the computer much easier than the USB stick. So in this case, we've got the standard USB connector, and we'll just go ahead and plug that in. And then our other side, we go right into the computer, and then that's going to show up in your digital audio workstation, and you can control a myriad of things with USB MIDI. Okay, next up is foot switch 1 and foot switch 2. And the cool thing about the NIO is you can add foot switches to do different things. For example, you could add a kick drum pedal into foot switch 1 and trigger kick sounds from there. You could add a hi-hat into foot switch 2 and trigger that, and basically create a little mini kit with these two foot switches. All right, next up we have trigger inputs 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And what this allows you to do is hook up an external pad and trigger sounds inside the unit. So if you want to keep the NIO on the left side by your hi-hat, but you want a couple other trigger pads on the other side, this is the place to plug them in. Now you notice they are dual zone, so you could have potentially on trigger 1 and 2, snare and then rim shot. Or if you used a splitter cable, you could have 2 distinct sounds. So it's possible to actually have 4 pads, 1, 2, 3, and 4, or you could have 2 dual trigger pads. Okay, I have a dual zone ddrum pad that I'd like to use in trigger 1 and 2, so I'm going to plug that in there. And what that's going to allow me to do is that one pad, I'll have 2 zones, the main snare in the middle and the rim shot. Okay, the last port, which is on the left-hand side when you're looking at the back of the unit, is the power interface. And we're just going to simply pop that in there. And once that's in and snug, we can then fire up the ddrum NIO from the front of the panel. Okay, well, we've made all our connections. We've covered every single possible connectivity option on the back. And as you can see, if we're going from right to left, we've got our headphones plugged in. We've got our master volume, which we eased up after we made the main output connections. I've got my auxiliary in going to my laptop, phone, or tablet to listen to music so I can play along. The MIDI in and out, which we did not connect here for the purposes of time in this video. I've got my USB stick, which I can import sounds from. I've got the USB-B, which I can control sounds in Pro Tools or Logic or even GarageBand. And then later we'll be able to interface with the computer and import and export sounds. We have the 2 foot switches right there. We've got trigger 1 and 2, which has a ddrum dual snare pad in it. We've got the power supply. And that's it, folks. With all that connectivity, the NIO really can do just about everything you possibly could need it to do. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below. And wherever you're watching this, give us a like, follow us. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so we can get you the latest news on all ddrum products.